Okay, let's start letting people in here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Piano Tech Radio Hour. It is lovely to see all your lovely faces yet again this week. Very excited about our session today. Make sure everyone gets in here before we try to get rolling officially.
Ethan?
Yeah, how's it going? Who's that?
It's Dave Skolnick.
Hey,
I
Dave.
can. I have a quick question. Do you remember the most recent email that you would have sent out that would have had the link? I'm trying to get it on my phone so I have a little more flexibility, but I can't find it right
Oh,
now in the email.
yeah, you can misspell Ken's name and you'll find it.
I'm
Apparently,
sure I
I
do.
actually met. Let's see here. What was the
It would have
subject
been from
line?
you.
Yeah, let's see what the subject line is. The subject line is join radio hour session with Ken Eschte. It's spelled like it's pronounced, but yeah, ESCHTE is how I spelled it. It's supposed to be ESCHETE.
But
But yeah, if you search,
you don't know when you actually sent
3 days
that out.
ago, it was sent out 3 days ago.
3 days.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so I'm good. If I find it on the phone, that's fine. Otherwise, I'll pay attention here. I'll
Okay,
try.
cool. Thanks for stalling while we let more people in. But I think we're ready to go.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give a quick intro to the event and to our guests, and then we'll get rolling. And so, just to remind you what we're all doing here, this is Piano Technicians Masterclasses event called Piano Tech Radio Hour. We talk to the coolest people in the piano industry, the smartest people in the piano industry, bring some really interesting things to talk about. And Piano Technicians Masterclasses that brings you this event is an online educational resource that offers you cutting edge instruction from piano industry masters without leaving your home. You can find out more at www.pianotechniciansmasterclass.com. And today we have Ken Eschte, and I'll give you a little bit of a bio in here. He gave me some info, and there's a lot of cool things in here that I wasn't even aware of. So I'll read through all these interesting tidbits, and then we'll start chatting with him. So, and I'll make sure you all have yourselves muted. Let's see here. I'm hearing a little bit of a noise from somebody. Okay. PG Milky at Yahoo. For some reason, I cannot mute you, so please mute yourself. All right. Okay. I don't understand why I can't mute you. Okay. Here we go. So Ken is originally from New Orleans, studied music in college, and played in the military band at West Point. And then following his service in the military, he attended Tulane University, was awarded a fellowship to study conservation at the Smithsonian Musical Instruments Division. He remained as a contractor at the Smithsonian and completed 3 major conservation projects on historic pianos. A few years later, Ken completed an internship at Colonial Williamsburg and was elected to the professional associate membership in the AIC, which is the American Institute of Conservation of Works of Art. Other conservation treatments on historic pianos have included the Abraham Lincoln piano at the Chicago History Museum, the Vanderbilt Mansion Steinway in Hyde Park, New York, and the Washington State Capitol's historic Bluthner piano. He now lives in Spokane, Washington, and still travels around the USA treating historic pianos. Current projects include a Pleyel grand piano at Cornell University's Historic Keyboard Collection and another Steinway grand piano at the Valkill Mansion in Hyde Park, New York. So Ken is coming to us today with a bit of a more prepared lecture than we might typically have. And so that should be pretty cool. There's 3 parts, and we can have questions, but maybe keep your questions to the chat, and we'll kind of filter them while he talks, so he can kind of keep up with his pace. But in between each of the 3 sections, there'll also be a little bit of a pause where you can address questions and comments specifically. So Ken and I also, I'll just say really briefly, Ken has been, a great mentor in my path. When I live in Chicago right now, but I had moved to New York for a while. When I was living in Chicago back around 2007 or 8, I approached Ken. He was working at Northwestern University in the keyboard department there, maintaining a bunch of instruments, along with Bill Schwartz. And I met these two great guys, and I proposed to kind of hang out and learn from them in exchange for tunings and pianos. And a great time was had by all, and I learned a lot of great stuff. So I'll always appreciate that time of mentorship from Ken. So yeah, Ken, what would you like to say? You ready
I'd
to
like
hit
to
the?
say that it was really great to run into you in the earlier years of your exploring what you were going to do, and I remember you were interested in music cognition, which was a new course of study at Northwestern, and I knew the professor very well, so I twisted his arm and got you in so that you could monitor without being enrolled, and I believe that led to some further study at a small school in New York City where you got a PhD. So
That's
yes,
correct. Yes, that
Dr.
was a
Janey,
step
yeah,
along my path. That's
that's right.
exactly pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
Ken, you need to be a little louder.
Okay. Let's see. I'm not exactly sure how to do
I might
that.
be able to. I might be too loud,
Can
actually. Maybe
yeah.
it's.
Can I? I'm gonna. I can go into my uh, stuff here, system preferences, and do my microphone thing. Let's try that sound. Let's see. We want output USB nano output volume.
And also, if you have a mic, is your mic on your headphones, or where is it? Is it in the
No,
computer?
it's sitting right here. I just moved the gain up on it. Is that better now?
I don't know if it changed much, but yeah, if you're just as
Yeah.
close as you can get to it, it's not like you're super quiet. And I think it's probably in with respect to me because I have this mic like sitting right next to my
Um,
face. So
Ethan, Ken, I'll just tell you before my volume was down, so I could hear Ethan well, but not you. Now I turned my volume up and you're both fine for me.
Okay.
cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
And
Well,
Ken
that's
will
thanks for
mostly be
checking that out.
talking, so you all can adjust your volume to his level there, and I'll move my mic
Yeah.
a little bit farther.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have a lot of talking to do. So thanks everybody for showing up. And I want to uh, especially thank various students of mine around the country and around the world. I teach an online course on replacing soundboards, building soundboards, and doing bridge capping. And we have students that have enrolled in this online course in Europe and in South America, Australia, and in the United States. And I know many of them have been watching this program too. So I just wanted to say hello to my students. Um, as Ethan mentioned, my background in museum conservation is kind of unique for a piano technician. And so I have many times sort of reached into that toolkit to find solutions to problems that we experience in normal situations. So in this way, by thinking outside of our usual rules and actually looking at things in a very small way, that is literally under the microscope, discovered some interesting big solutions, big ideas that came from little tiny things. So that's the theme of my talk today. I've got 3 illustrations of this, and I'm going to run through them quickly. I'm going to stop after I finish each of the 3 examples, and I'll take just a few questions if anybody has them at that point, but then I want to move on because I want to cover all 3 of my subjects. So the first one, I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see, we practiced doing this before, so I know how to do it, right, Ken? Okay, that. I'm sharing my screen now. And
Yep, looking good.
okay, great. So Yeah, this was my opening slide. Shout out to all my students and our web address for anybody who's interested in the courses. But back to our subject here, and that is a word we use in museums called consolidation. Uh, Museum conservators, these are people that are dedicated to restoring works of art and really making sure that uh, all parts of them are kept and integrity of the object. So there are situations in which, say, a wooden statue might be falling apart just from age. And uh, the idea is there a way to hold this together from the inside by saturating something into the wood of this statue and creating sort of an interior structure, something that doesn't show, but something that holds it together. So in this kind of treatment, a resin of some sort is dissolved in a solvent. That solvent will make things thin enough to where it will soak into the substance. It could be stone, it could be wood. And when the solvent evaporates off, we're left over with the resin inside of the object, creating this structure. So this over here, I'm using my cursor to kind of point things out. This is like looking at a box of soda straws, but these are actually wood cells. And this piece of wood has been treated with a synthetic polymer that dissolves in a solvent. And my next slide shows this a little closer. You can see that these are plugs of this resin inside of the wood. So this this is kind of a regular thing in museum conservation, that we reach for a particular resin, which is called B72. It is, it's an acrylic polymer. And just a kind of quick organic chemistry lesson here, thermoplastics are long chains of molecules like this, which when they're exposed to a solvent will break apart. The solvent will break the bonds between them so that they just kind of float around in the solvent. But when the solvent goes away by evaporation, they will rejoin into the long chain molecules and become a solid. So just like we start off with, say, an acrylic key top, and we put it in a jar with acetone, it breaks up into a liquid. But when we put it on a hammer and the acetone evaporates off, part of that key top is in between the fibers, and it makes that hammer harder. So that's a real familiar example for us of what is known in museum world as consolidation. Well, I was struggling actually with all of this, particularly dealing with acrylic key tops and acetone, trying to do voicing. And I started noticing that there was a particular problem with that, in that it seemed like the hammer would develop a kind of zingy sound sometime after I put it on, usually when the concert started. And it was something that had to be voiced out. So we were kind of going back and forth trying to put acetone and key tops to make it harder, brighter sounding, but then it got too zingy. So then we had to needle it down, in which case it wasn't so bright, and it's just kind of going back and forth. So I decided that I would try B72. That was something that I had in my toolkit. So